Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today, for our number talk, we are looking at these two mixed numbers and approximating the difference, trying to figure out whether it would be less than 4 or greater than 4. So one thing we should note is that if we were to simply look at our whole numbers, 5 and 1, and say, all right, what is 5 minus 1? Well, that is going to be 4, which is our midpoint right here. So really what we're doing is we're just looking at our two fractions. And we're going to look at 5/8 and subtract 3/12, right? And if 5/8 happens to be larger and 3/12 is smaller, well, then we're going to have a little bit left over. We would end up being greater than 4. But if the 3/12 happens to be larger, well, then we would end up having to actually regroup the whole number 5 in order to make it work. We'd actually end up being less than 4 if that second fraction is going to be larger. So let's just focus on the 5/8 and the 3/12. And I want to approximate this. If we wanted to, we could change these into common denominators. 24 would actually work, but I'm sensing that we can actually do a little bit of work if we just think about these numbers in relation to some benchmarks. So let's just view 1/2. Okay, so 1/2 is a benchmark. Where would 5/8 go if I were to put it on that number line between 0 and 1? Would it be greater than 1/2 or less than 1/2? Well, how do I rewrite 1/2 in eighths? Well, I could rewrite that as 4/8, right? So 5/8 then is going to be a little bit bigger. Let's put 5/8 right there. But what about 12ths? How can I rewrite 1/2 as 12ths? Well, let's do that up here. 6/12ths, because 6 is half of 12. Well, if that's the case, then my 3/12ths is going to be way down here. So just by comparing both of these to what I know about halves, I can easily say that my 5/8 is larger. So if I'm subtracting my 5/8 and this one is larger, and my 3/12 is going to be smaller, well then regardless, I know that I'm going to have a little bit left over, which means it's going to be a little bit greater than 4.